And hello everyone, welcome once again. My name is Logan and this is Decode Your Reality. Today, I'm going to be breaking down and decoding Alice in Wonderland. Alice in Wonderland Decoded, folks. Hang on to your seats, get comfortable. I'm suggesting you put some headphones on, block everything out. Comes in crystal clear, you get a little music, get some emotional stuff going on. Folks, I promise you this will be worth the time you spend on watching this. This is going to be a lengthy presentation, but I can promise you it'll be worth watching it. Folks, if you want to know our origins and what it's tied to with our DNA, folks, this one's going to blow your doors off. And again, as fate would have it, here we are talking about Alice. I was working on Jack in the Box, and I've worked on DNA. This ties it all together, folks. And again, you know, the game of life is fixed. I'm going to show that. So here we go with the topics, folks. In the zero position, always leading up to zero. The beginning of it all. How I got started in this presentation is going to blow you away. Going to the number one, the rabbit and the jack. Because I'm going to be decoding Jack in the Box, and it's tied to Alice in Wonderland. Number two, Alice's blood. Number three, the Mad Hatter. Number four, our DNA. Our DNA is tied to Alice in Wonderland. Number five, Alice Kingsleigh herself. Number six, the Red Queen. Number seven, Lewis Carroll, the writer of Alice in Wonderland, the book series. Number eight, Alchemy. And then, of course, what did you see? I'd like to know what you saw during this presentation. So really it starts with the actual book title. Now, I just watched Disney's version of it, the 2010, I think it was, Alice in Wonderland, and I was trying to find some more nuggets, which I found a few. But notice, here's this actual book title from, I think it was 1865. Lewis Carroll came out with this book, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. Notice it's a 311 in numerology. When you bring that into numberempire.com, it's the 64th prime number. 64 on the periodic table is the element gadolinium, and that is the abbreviation GD, which could this be the god figure that runs Wonderland? You know, this is tied to Nephilim. I mean, I'm going to be coming out with Random Thoughts number 9. Nephilim's going to be a big topic, folks. It's all tied together. We're looking, where are our origins? But anyway, what got me started on this, folks? Stick with me on this. I promise you it's going to knock your socks off. What got me started on this presentation was, see, this is where I'm from, right outside of Boston in the town of Webster. And this is where I'm at right now. I'm visiting family, decided to come here last minute. Came out here about a month ago, and folks, you know, when I was doing this presentation, I'm like, you know what, I'm going to see if there's a Wonderland anywhere in the United States. And I had no idea there was one in the state of Maine. There's a Wonderland, Maine. The farthest northeast corner you can get of the United States, Wonderland, Maine. And so then I'm like, okay, well, how far is it from where I'm at? And it's quite a drive. But look at the numbers, folks. And again, as fate would have it, here I am. I come all the way to the East Coast from the West Coast. I was in LA. And look at this, folks. It's 333 miles from the route that Google wants me to take. A triple master 3. And if you know what that means, Josh should be on the floor. On top of that, folks, it takes 5 hours and 23 minutes to get there. So, of course, I'm going to go to numberempire.com and look it up. And look at what it is. It's the 99th prime number. And 99, folks, is tied to the Tetragrammaton. Because the Tetragrammaton, which is the box that we live in, which is Wonderland, its alchemology is 99. And here I am doing a presentation, and I just so happen to be in my hometown. I haven't been back here in a very long time, and there's a Wonderland 5 hours and 23 minutes away from me, and it's the 99th prime number. What are the odds, folks? What are the odds? Let's look at it a little bit further. Here are the coordinates of Wonderland, Maine. The latitude, longitude. 44 degrees north and 68 degrees west. And let me jump ahead here. That is the element cadmium. If you add up the entire latitude, longitude of Wonderland, Maine, it becomes a 112.5538. That is cadmium. Folks, I'm going to be showing this element in this presentation, and it's going to blow you away. It's totally part of Alice in Wonderland. But nonetheless, 112, cadmium, tied to the Wonderland coordinates. And then, of course, if you take 112 and you add the 904, the masculine and feminine side of cadmium, there is the golden ratio. 1.61. It's in there jumbled, but it's still in there. The golden ratio tied to 333 miles, tied to the 99, tied to the Tetragrammaton. That's where I started with this presentation, folks. That's where I started. Go figure it, And now I know why I came to the East Coast, besides to visit my family, was to decode this thing. Because I'm in tune with the energy. That's how it works. So starting off, folks, because I told you cadmium's going to be a part of this, which is why I wanted to show you how crazy the syncs were of where my location was. But we start here, folks. We start with the 113 because remember, the title of the book was 311. There's the mirror of the 113, Nihonium. And I'm going to be getting into that. Why is that one important? Oh, just wait and see, because it's all part of our blood. But nonetheless, we start there, Nihonium. And you'll notice that it's got the 113 for its protons. Well, cadmium has an atomic weight of 113. It has several weights. 113 is its most abundant, tied to nihonium. And then, of course, titanium has an atomic weight of 48, so that matches the protons of cadmium. So these three elements are in bed together, as I like to say. And this element is related to the Titans. If you study Greek mythology, which I hope you have, it's the Olympians and the Titans. And the Titans, we are told, got thrown down to Earth in Tartar, or Tartarus. Wonderland, tied to the 47. And notice that the number 113, folks, which is why I had Nihonium here, which is the mirror of the 311, which I go back here, which is the title of the frickin' book. Right there. 311, the mirror of the 113, title of the book. Here it is, Nihonium. Cadmium has an atomic weight of 113, and the 113 is the 30th prime number. And 30 is zinc. 30 is tied to the Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh because that's 63. But folks, notice Alice is 30 in the English numerology cipher. That's tied to the 30th card in the medicine card deck, the rabbit card. What did Alice follow down the hole? The rabbit. And folks, if you think people are looking at, there's no way people are looking at movies and say, we're going to make these cards and got to make the rabbit the 30th card because Alice is 30 in the English numerology cipher and she followed it down the hole. Folks, man's being used. It's already written before we got here. That's why all these connections like this, these crazy connections. But it's telling us a story. And, remember, this is a big deal. She falls down a tree in the hole in the tree. Notice little subtleties in the primes. Wonderland is pi itself. Even the word cat, C-A-T, is 314. And there's that cat in the tree. Amazing syncs, and we're just getting started, folks. We're just getting started. I'm just going to quickly throw this in here because I'm going to be coming out with this decode. Jack in the Box is tied to Alice in Wonderland. The founder of Jack in the Box, Robert Oscar Peterson, his birthday was on February 21st, 1951. Well, the February 21st card in the Cards of Illumination is the 4 Diamonds card, folks. That is the 30th card in the freaking deck, which is tied to the rabbit. And Alice went down the hole to catch the white rabbit. Follow the white rabbit down into Wonderland, where the Jack in the Box lives. Folks, we are are all jacks stuck in the box. The Tetragrammaton. Wait till I come out with this decode. But look at the tie-ins to this, folks. Completely blows me away. And that's when we get into the 113. In my Random Thoughts number 6, version 6, if you haven't seen that, please check it out. But I decoded our blood types. Here are the 8 blood types, folks. 8 of them. Notice it's 74 letters. That's tungsten. That's illumination. It equals the number 286. And that is Nihonium's atomic mass, which is linked to Nihon, which is the name for Japan. And notice Nihon is 23, the same as the word blood. Unbelievable things. And it's tied to Alice in Wonderland. So our blood types are tied to Wonderland. Alice in Wonderland. If you take Nihonium again, you notice, 113 protons. Cadmium has an atomic weight of 113. When you add those two together using the trusty calculator, you get the number 400.085. And when you go into the string of pi with the 400, it ends at the 1174, which is tied to Lucifer. Lucifer's tied to the 174. It's also tied to the Jack in the Box. I'm going to be showing that in the upcoming presentation. It's all connected, folks. Directly connected. So now we get into the Mad Hatter. The Mad Hatter, who was a big character in the Disney movie. And, the big standout that I saw immediately when I pulled this character was the number on his hat. Now, I got some responses from some of you. You had some pretty amazing stuff to add. But I'm going to break it down the only way I know how to do it, and that's using the modalities that I like to use, that I feel are all connected. We're going to get into that 10/6. But notice the Mad Hatter is the number 30. Matter of fact, in the book, I think, they only called him the Hatter, which is the 21. Well, that's tied to Saturn. Saturn's 21. Saturn 21's the world card in the tarot as well. So she goes to him for advice, helps her out. And then Alice is 30. So look at the syncs there. Mad Hatter 30, Alice 30. But what about that 10/6? I'm going to get into that right now, folks. I want to just show you this. This is what blew me away. Now, Alice fell down in a hole that was in a tree. That tree, folks, is linked to the biblical tree of life and tree of knowledge. And I'm going to show that to support it. More on this in a little bit. But notice that these two elements, palladium, the 46th element, and silver, the 47th, they both share the atomic weight of 106, which is on this guy's hat. 106. Now, why these two elements? Because you see, folks, here is the tree of life and the tree of knowledge. I'm going to be decoding that. I've had a lot of people ask me, hey, Logan, when are you going to be coming out with the decode on that? I'm working on it. It's in the queue, folks. I just keep getting distracted by all the other things that I'm supposed to be decoding. Notice the tree of life. This is the original spelling in the Hebrew. And then the tree of knowledge. Notice tree of life is 46. Tree of knowledge is 47. 46 and 47. 106. 106. Alice fell down a hole in a tree to get on Wonderland. Notice subtly here, the string of pi, 46 appears at the 19th decimal digit of pi. And then 47 is the 119. It just has one other one. Undeniable connections, these two trees. And then notice, on this side, the tree of life is a match to Jesus Lucifer, because 46 appears at the 19th decimal digit, and Jesus Lucifer is 46. Palladium. And then 47 is Tetragrammaton, the tree of knowledge. The one we were told in theology we shouldn't partake of. That caused the fall for man to sin. Because Eve and Adam bit the apple. Tree of knowledge, 47. Going back to the Mad Hatter and the 106 to go a little bit further, folks, which is why I have this bolt of lightning here, which is the flash of creation in the Kabbalah system, which is tied to this, as fate would have it. Notice Mad Hatter's 30, 1.21 gigawatts. The amount of power in a bolt of lightning. Back to the Future, 88 miles an hour. The DeLorean, Marty McFly, Doc Brown. The clock tower. 1.21 gigawatts is 30, and then in the English it's 111. And then we bring in the string of pi. The 106, which is on this guy's hat, appears at the 1011th decimal digit of pi. 111, 30, and 30. Mad Hatter 1.21. Undeniable, folks, these connections. The game of life is fixed. It's rigged. It's completely rigged. Going a little bit further with the bolt of lightning, here's a scenario in the background, and we're going to be getting into this. Some cards in the background here, and I'll be showing that. Going down the hole, but notice bolt of lightning is a 61. That's a match of Alice in Wonderland. The flash of creation, which is linked to this element right here, and I'm going to be coming out with a decode on this because I have to. It's Prometheum and his brother. The two titans in Greek mythology that Zeus spared from being thrown down in Tartarus and were supposedly the creators of mankind out of clay. They made all the animals, they made all of us. Prometheum and Epithemus, I think that's how you pronounce that. Him and his brother, which would be 60 and 61, and that's tied to the pyramid. The Great Pyramid of Giza, tied to Prometheum and his brother, who are supposedly the creators of mankind themselves. Tied to Alice in Wonderland, tied to us. Bolt of lightning. I mean, notice the subtleties. How many days of creation were there? 6. Days 1 through 6. Prometheum's a match of Jesus Lucifer. That's a 46. Notice Prometheum has an atomic weight of 144, as in the 144,000. The chosen ones. The chosen ones. Let's go a little bit further now with the 10-6 on its hat using the tarot, shall we? Another layer we can observe it to show more support and how this whole entire Wonderland works. The 10th card is the Wheel of Fortune in the tarot. And, on that wheel is the Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh, and it's the letter X. It's got the 4 faces of God, Ezekiel 1 verses 10, the blue and the red shift, the snake going down. You spin the wheel to decide your fate. And then going down to cover the 6, that's the 6th card called the Lover's card. And you'll notice on the card itself, there's the 2 trees. The tree of life and the tree of knowledge. The tree, which I already showed in the 46 and 47. You decide your fate. Or is your fate already decided for you? I'd say it's the latter, because the game of life is fixed. So there's that 106 using the tarot cards. What about when we bring in the elements of the periodic table tied to the tarot cards and the 10/6 on the Mad Hatter's hat? The 10th element is neon. The 6th element is carbon. Folks, this is the 666 that's tied to the element of carbon. 6 protons, 6 neutrons. You know the story of carbon. It's the king of all elements. Carbon. Which is what we're made up of. Notice it has an atomic weight of 12, the hours on a clock, and this guy has it on his hat. He's got neon. I mean, folks, remember, the Yod in Hebrew is the 10th letter. It's the 10th letter, and then here is our 666. We're the beast, part of it. We're the manly beast, because we're made up of carbon, and this is the carbon card, the lover's card, the male-female. I mean, can you see how all these fit so eloquently? Folks, this is a beautifully designed software, but all these moving parts were created by so many different people. Do you realize the conspiracy that would have to go into play? It's not possible to get all the people involved. They're all born at different times. The founder of carbon, the discovery of neon, who created the tarot, A.E. Waite, Rider Waite, and all the other ones, and Crowley, and all these other people that created these cards. They're all embedded in this stuff. So it has nothing to do with demonology or divination. It has to do with being tied into our matrix reality and us being in Wonderland. Notice when you take the 10 and the 6, the weights of these two, and you divide them into one another, because that's kind of what that slash means right there. You can observe it this way. 10 divided by 6, it's 19.992 divided by 12. The two weights of these two elements, notice it's an outcome of 1.66, which is tetragrammaton. And folks, I showed in the beginning, as fate would have it, Wonderland's tied to the tetragrammaton, which is 5 hours and 23 minutes away, which is the 99th prime number, which is tetragrammaton in the Chaldean, the alchemology of that. Folks, what are the odds of these things being the case? And here I am, as fate would have it, decoding Alice in Wonderland. And what it means. Who runs the box? Who's running Wonderland? I mean, it's right on the guy's hat, on the Mad Hatter. You know, and I want to put this is a real photograph of a viper. It's a really beautiful picture. But I wanted to bring this out because you see the snake's tongue, because that has everything to do with the story. And remember, this is a story, folks. It's a story. Something you have to believe in. And a lot of people think we're living in a simulation. And I'm kind of moving towards that, to where it's a real simulation, but it's lifelike. And, you know, the part of the story is the snake deceived Eve. And, you know, it's in the shape of a letter Y, or it's got the letter V and the letter I here. It's an I and a V. And folks, on this card, when I zoom in here, on this card, it's the V and the I. Quite possibly showing us where that snake fits into the 6th card, which is carbon, which is 666. The number of the beast embedded in this shape of a snake's tongue on this card. Can you see it, folks? On this guy's hat. And we're stuck in Wonderland. Why are we stuck in Wonderland? If we take 10 divided by 6, now go back here, I divided the weights of these two elements. Now if we just take the 10 divided by 6, it comes out to the same outcome, 1.66. Tetragrammaton. The Mad Hatter. The 10-6. I mean, the tetragrammaton's right on this 10th card right here, right on this wheel. Right there. I mean, you think these people that are creating these characters, like, you know, we have to have the 10 and /6 because it's got to be these two cards because it's going to equal this one. There's no way these people are doing that, folks. It's not possible. It's too complicated for man to be doing this. Because that's what it comes down to. It comes down to our DNA. This is what this is. This is a double helix. Our DNA. Diamonds fit in there, by the way. Lucy in the sky with diamonds. The diamond shape fits in there. It's for a different story. But it's all our DNA, and here it is. The two trees. Two of these, the double helix, makes up the two trees. Tree of life and the tree of knowledge. It's already in our DNA, folks, and we're told to stay away from one. There's holes in the story, folks. And remember, this is a story. So then we get into our DNA, because it has everything to do with Alice in Wonderland. Deoxyribonucleic acid, which is the lengthy word for DNA, it's composed of two polynucleotide chains, poly meaning two, that coil around each other to form the double helix. Notice what the outcomes of that word is. Polynucleotide chain, master number 77, tied to the element iridium, which is tied to the rainbow. The 7 colors, which is what we are. We're light beings. Human, Hueman, human, light man, 77. And then in the English, it's the 211. 211 is the 47th prime number. That's tetragrammaton. The box that we're stuck in. Wonderland. Let's get into Alice Kingsleigh. The name that she was coined in the book by Lewis Carroll. I want you to notice it's a mirror of one another. Alice is 13, Kingsleigh's 31. And let's break down the alchemology of Alice Kingsleigh. And again, alchemology is the numerology tied to the elements of the periodic table. It's really simple. Alice is a 5-letter word, 13135, and that's hydrogen, lithium, boron, 13135. And then we add this up, folks. And I've shown this so many times now, how accurate it is. How accurate. Go check out my video on John Wick and the decoding of Keanu Reeves and why he was named Neo in the movie. And I guarantee you the Wachowski brothers didn't sit down and do the alchemology of that to figure that out. They were just chosen to name him that because man is being used. Man's being used, folks. We're being used. To what level, I don't know. The alchemology of Alice is 27.057. How many books in the New Testament of the Bible, the Taurian Bible? 27 books. Lucifer's 57. Then we go over to Kingsleigh. We add up the 10 elements for Kingsleigh, and you get the number 67.11. 67's tied to Nephilim, folks. It is tied directly to the fallen angel story. And then when you add up these two right here, 67.11 and 27.057, you're going to get linked to this element right there. Plutonium, the 94th element. Because 67 and 27 is 94. Plutonium is linked to the underworld. The underworld. Alice in Wonderland, falling down the hole in the underworld. That story, folks. I mean, even the colors, yellow, blue, and white, I didn't even decode that, but there's significance there. Here's where it gets super interesting again, folks. The story of theology. You can't leave this stuff out. It's just crazy how this story is so embedded into our matrix. Whether it's true or not, it's in our matrix. It was written in the software before each and every one of us got here, because I'm showing it right now. Not just speaking from a book called the Bible and saying this is the truth. I'm showing you things that are linked to that expand out beyond that. And Alice in Wonderland's tied to the theology of the Bible. Alice is at 27.057, folks. Here is the 27 to 57. Nickel, devil's copper, has an atomic weight of 57, and cobalt has 27 protons. Both of these folks are tied to Lucifer, which is tied to Alice. Lucifer is, if you know anything about Lucifer, we're talking blonde hair, folks. I know the Netflix show, Thomas John Ellis has got dark hair, but Lucifer is typically tied to blonde hair. Blonde hair. And notice, Alice is 27. That's the dragonfly card. The great dragon was hurled down into Wonderland. Even in the movie and the book, there's a dragon called Jabberwocky that Alice has to fight. The dragon. When you use the string of pi, folks, the 27 appears at the 28th and 29th decimal digit of pi. There's the 27. There's the 27, there's the 28, all tied together. Devil's Copper, Dragonfly, Alice in Wonderland. And then when you bring in just straight up Cobalt, because remember, she's 27, the Dragonfly's the 27th card, Cobalt's the 27th element. When you go and look at the Royal Society of Chemistry, this is the picture they chose to represent Cobalt. It's a goblin. It means goblin. And then there's two dragons on each side of the goblin. And then there's an acorn. If you know anything about what that is, from the oak tree, the tree that Alice fell down. Folks, all this is symbolic because this is fate. This is fate right here. When you go a little bit further, folks, you go a little bit further and you take the 27 and the 57 pertaining to Alice, you take the two elements 27 and 57, that would be Cobalt and Land Phantom. And the meaning of this is the dragon who lies hidden, because Land Phantom means to lie hidden. You know, Donald John Trump, his alchemology is 138. Guarantee you he's lying hidden, fooling all the world. Everybody thinks, oh, fooling the world, folks. The one that lies hidden. So Cobalt and Land Phantom, 27 and 57, when you add those up, the atomic weights of these two, from Alice, we got her alchemology, you get the number 197.839. Then you go to the string of pi, it appears at the 37th decimal digit of pi. 37, 38, and 39, but it starts at the 37th decimal digit of pi, folks. The 37th card, which is why I said I wanted to just bring in Jack in the Box tied together with Alice in Wonderland. Just be too much content. That's the Jack in the Box card. Do you realize this is the birth card of the United States of America? July 4th, 7/4, 74, tungsten illumination, Jack in the Box, Alice in Wonderland, the dragon who lies hidden. She fights the dragon in the book and the movie. This was a picture taken off of an Alice in Wonderland caption. And I highlighted the cards that were falling down the hole that Alice fell down into. There was 4 cards right here, folks. And again, as fate would have it, Game of Life's fixed. What are these cards telling us? The 9 clubs, the 3 spades, the ace hearts, and the 6 diamonds. What are these 4 cards telling us? And of course, 4 means tetragrammaton, square, the cube. That's why the Mecca has the cube. It's tetragrammaton, folks. That's what they worship. That's what all religions worship. All of them. All of them. Here are the cards. 9 clubs, 3 spades, ace hearts, 6 diamonds. Right there on this caption here I got from Alice in Wonderland. The 9 clubs, card 22, 3 spades, card 42, the ace hearts, card number 1, 6 diamonds, card 32. If you add that up, folks, you're going to get the number 97. In the string of pi, the 97 appears at the 12th decimal digit of pi and the 13th, but it starts at the 12th. And then we get into the Red Queen, folks. Card number 12 is the Queen Hearts card. In the book Alice in Wonderland, in the movie, the Wicked Queen in the 2010 Disney movie is the Queen Hearts card. It's the Queen Hearts card. And then, of course, the 13th card is the King of Hearts. It's the King and Queen on the chessboard. It's the King and Queen of Fire, the element fire. Here is an original manuscript of Alice's Adventures Underground. Look at what page number it's on. Page number 88. 88, folks, tied to these 2 elements right here. Yttrium and radium. Ra, the Egyptian god Ra. And perhaps there's that letter Y, maybe a V and an I, but there's maybe the letter Y tied to yttrium right there. I mean, remember, Skull and Bones is 39, Microsoft's 39, a lot of things that are 39 in numerology, folks. And you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out what those energies and entities and names and corporations, and they're just doing their job, folks. Have no judgment, just observations. They're just doing their job. But this is amazing. Here's the Queen of Hearts, tied to this picture, tied to the addition of the cards, tied to pi. Just the connections are insane. And so there it is, the 12th and 13th card in the string of pi, the 97 tied to these 4 cards, found on one of the Alice in Wonderland pictures that I found, as fate would have it. You know, and the artist sitting there adding up the cards and saying, well, we have to bring in pi because these add up to 97, and that's the king, queen that are in the Alice in Wonderland movie that are running the show. Now, in the Disney, there was no King of Hearts. It was in the book, though, the original book. It was the King and Queen of Hearts. The 1972 Alice in Wonderland movie, it showed the King and Queen of Hearts, kind of running the court. The court. These 2 cards. The Wicked Queen. The 12th card. And, you know, when you bring in the letter Y, because see, folks, the letter Y is the 25th letter in the alphabet. 25. In the Hebrew, it's the 10th. In the Phoenician, it's the 10th. In the Arabic, it's the 10th. But in the English, it's the 25th letter. And, you know, when you take 12 and 13, the king and queen of Alice in Wonderland that ran Wonderland, that ran it, they were the top dogs in the book. King and Queen of Hearts, 12 and 13, that's 25. 12 plus 13, 25. So then we go into the string of pi. The 25 appears at the 89th decimal digit and the 90th, but 89. And that's tied to the Gnostic demiurge Yaldabaoth, which is tied to the word virus. And it's very possible that this character right there is, you're seeing it through the cards, it's the king and queen of fire. Through the 4 worlds that we live in, it's the Gnostic demiurge. And it may be the virus, folks, because the true source of it all is beyond the Yaldabaoth character, beyond the tetragrammaton, the box that we live in. Beyond that, folks. We get rid of the viruses. We return back to the golden age. So now we're going to get into the character that wrote the books. Alice in Wonderland and Alice Through the Looking Glass. Lewis Carroll, that's the pen name that he went by. But his real name is Charles. And we're going to be doing both. But Lewis Carroll, the alchemology of Lewis Carroll. And I threw these in because there's, of course, Lucifer's numbers again. Manly P. Hall, 741. You should know this by now. Lutetium, 71. The colors of the rainbow. Notice it's a 39 for its total output. That's yttrium, 88 miles an hour. The snake's tongue, tied to the 25. Tied to 88, tied to 89, Yaldabaoth. But notice the alchemology of Lewis Carroll, the pen name that he went by, using the trusty calculator, is an 82.114. That leads to the element lead, folks. 82 is lead. And lead's atomic weight is 207.977. 207. Folks, if you, the 0 indicates infinite potential, because that's pi itself. But the 2 and the 7, folks, that's 27. I mean, what are the odds, folks? What are the odds? What are the odds, folks? 27th card is the Ace Diamonds. Folks, this is where Freemasonry comes into play. I got a video coming out on that. You're not going to want to miss that one. A lot of people are going to be pissed off when I come out with that one. They're just my opinions. But I'm supporting it with all these layers. 27th card, Ace Diamonds. Lucy in the sky with diamonds. And then the 27th card is the Dragonfly card. The great dragon was hurled down. And we know lead is heavy. We know alchemy, because we're going to be getting into alchemy, turning lead into gold. We got to ascend up, defeat the dragon. That's what Alice did in the movie. Defeated Jabberwocky, the dragon. Here's the actual birth name of the man who wrote Alice in Wonderland, Charles Lutwidge Dodgson. And when you do the alchemology of these, and notice it's 22 letters. The word dragon equals 22. The word Michael equals 22, who fought the dragon. Is Alice Michael? Is Alice Michael? When you do the alchemology of Charles, you get an outcome of, I couldn't fit it all on here, but you can fact check it. I've fact checked that. You add up all these atomic weights, all 22 of them, you're going to get the number 187.221. 187 is tied to the 76th element called osmium, as in the Wizard of Oz. So the Wizard of Oz is tied to Alice in Wonderland, which is tied to Jack in the Box, which is tied to Alice in Chains, Man in the Box. I got that coming out too, and Jack in the Box. It's all tied together, folks. It's just a story all telling us what the hell's going on. And it's a story. It's a story. So again, he's got 22 letters. Even his first name is 22. And the kicker, folks, the kicker of all this, the guy who writes Alice in Wonderland, talks about a dragon, Jabberwocky, Alice defeating it, all these characters, the Red Evil Queen, King of Hearts. I mean, this guy's born on January 27th, 1832, the 27th. The 27th card is the Dragonfly card. Dragon equals 22. Matching that of how many letters the guy has in his name, matching his numerology of his first name. And then, of course, as fate would have it, folks, the January 27th card, yep, it's the Ace Diamonds. 27th card, Ace Diamonds card, folks, which is tied to the Dragonfly, which is tied to the word dragon, which is tied to how many letters he has in his name and the first name numerology of Charles, going back to his alchemology of the Wizard of Oz. The Wizard of Oz. The Dragonfly. The 27. Being born on the 27th. Do you see how this would be impossible for man to sit there? Do you think these people back then were doing all that? These weren't even around back then. These may have been around, but this wasn't around. This may have been around, but this wasn't around. I mean, you know, and were they doing alchemology back then? Is this something I just discovered? I don't know anybody else using this. As far as I can tell, I discovered this, but maybe I fell upon something. Maybe people are already using it. But it's got merit because I've shown it over and over and over and over and over now how it shows its accuracy in the world that's fixed. So we're almost finished, folks. I got a couple more slides left. And we get into the word alchemy. Because, see, the word alchemy is turning lead into gold. And that's the number 47, which is tied to Tetragrammaton, the box we live in. Wonderland. Wonderland. And then, you know, when you take the 47, which is tied to the tree of knowledge, and you link it to the 22nd element, because it has an atomic weight of 47, and then you look at the protons of titanium, it's 22, and then the word alchemy equals 22. Just like the word dragon equals the number 22. Just like the archangel who fought the dragon, Archangel Michael, who's Jesus, is 22. Tied to the Titans. Tied to the tree of knowledge. Tied to the tetragrammaton, the box that we live in. Because we're being used for food, folks. Turning lead into gold. That's what's going on here, folks. Turning lead into gold. So, this is my last slide. Thanks for sticking with me on this one, folks. Notice, alchemy, turning lead into gold. Here it is, lead and gold. Those are the two elements, turning lead into gold. And I showed you the alchemology of Lewis Carroll is leading to lead, going down into Wonderland. But notice when you take these two elements and you subtract their atomic mass or weights, look at the number you get. 11.01. Of course, as fate would have it, folks, it's just subtracted. It's tied to 1.21 gigawatts, which is tied to the word lightning, which is what 1.21 gigawatts is. And then we go back to Alice falling down the hole, which to me is a complete example of the flash of creation, which is tied to the fallen angels. Were they really fallen, or they just decided to come here? What's the story, folks? Remember, Mad Hatter's 30, Alice is 30. And turning lead into gold, alchemy is tied to the 30 and the 111, which is tied to the outcome of subtracting these two. Folks, the game of life is completely rigged. It's fixed. And we're just playing out our parts. That doesn't mean you stop living. But you got the truth now, folks. And with that truth, you become more powerful because you realize that's how the game works. Instead of guessing, making sense out of all this. So what is it that you saw during this presentation? This was a long one. I told you it was going to be. Wait till I come out with the Jack in the Box and, oh man, the Man in the Box. It's going to blow your doors off with that. But what is it that you saw during this presentation? I covered a lot of material. I could have covered a lot more, folks. Could have covered a lot more. But what is it that you saw during this presentation? I'd love to hear from you and your comments. Maybe something you saw that I didn't see. But I'd love to hear what you got to say. So that's all I got for today. My name is Logan. This is Decode Your Reality. Thank you so very much for your support and for watching.